Imagine we'll have a few people straggling in as we get started and everything, but it is 7 o'clock, so we want to be mindful of your time, and that's why we want to be through this whole process. We'll talk a little bit more about that shortly, but as we do with everything around here, let's bathe this in prayer before we get started. So if you will bow your heads with me. Gracious Father, thank you, God, for this day, and thank you, Lord, for this new year and this new opportunity that we have to serve you and to just dedicate everything that we have and everything that we are to you. And God, as we work hard to develop the talents that these kids have and to help them to find those talents, Lord, we just pray that you would bless this time and bless our efforts to do that and to have fun along the way. We know, God, that you are a God of joy, a God of laughter, a God of delight, and we want to do that through this process with you. Lord, we love you and we praise you in Jesus' name. Amen. All righty. Well, Landry, I'm going to need you back in the back to push some buttons, if you wouldn't mind. And Allie can take those. So Allie Battles, if you wouldn't mind catching people as they come in. We are live streaming this evening, so we're going to be speaking into the mics with everything just because we want to make sure that the people at home can hear us. We have a few parents in that were quarantined and others that had some things going on tonight that they couldn't make it, so this way they can tune in at a time that is more convenient for them. Let me introduce a few people of our staff here for you. Go ahead a couple slides there, Landry. Your arrow button's on the keyboard. There you go. Pat, one more. There we go. So for our production staff, to my left, your right, is Miss Ember Rydell, and she is our theater teacher here at Midland Christian, and she will be directing the choreography and blocking. She'll be taking care of a lot of the costuming and props and those kind of things. My name is Joseph Jung. I'm the music choir director here at the school, and I will be, of course, overseeing the music and a lot of the technical side, so a lot of the set construction, lighting, sound, and a lot of the front of house stuff, which is what we talk about as ticket sales and things like that. So that's kind of the breakdown of how the two of us will be working together. And then, of course, Mrs. Hamilton will be my right-hand person with the music. And also, she ends up being, as we get closer to the production, a gopher that helps us with every possible scenario and thing, and she's so invaluable. So we're so grateful to have her as part of our team. And Mr. Mark Dean does do a lot of help with our set through his vocational tech class, and so that's a great opportunity for him to be involved with them, and they get to work on carpentry skills and things like that as we get to build the set for the show. And then on our next slide, we try to include as much student leadership as possible when it comes to these productions. And the last production that we did was Beauty and the Beast 2 years ago. And in that particular production, we had all student leadership that did the sound, the lighting, all the programming for that. They set up all the special effects. They ran the show from backstage. It's a wonderful, wonderful opportunity, and we love to see these kids come up through the ranks and take on that leadership because we didn't, by the time the show came around, we hardly had to lift a finger. They were taking care of everything. So it is an awesome experience to watch these kids flourish. And we, unfortunately, lost a lot of that leadership that we had before. We're thankful that Allie is still with us. But that's part of the reason we've got some younger kids who have signed on to be part of our crew this year. And so we're hoping to start teaching you guys up and getting you guys ready to take on that leadership in the next couple of years. It's a huge responsibility, but it is a very rewarding task. So Allie, thank you very much. Allie, would you stand up again for us? Oh, she is standing up. She moved. She was over there last time. I'm sorry. So Allie Battles is going to be our stage manager. For those of you, if you receive a phone call the night of rehearsal with somebody wondering why your child is not here, that's probably going to be Allie talking to you on the phone. So if you want to put a face with the name, she's a super sweet person. So you can always put a smile with that face when you picture it calling you on those evenings. So that is our staff for this year's show. And so let's go ahead and get into the meat of what we've got going on here. So as we're going down through a lot of the policies and everything that you see on the paper in front of you, as far as COVID-19 is concerned, we have to be very fluid in a lot of the things that we're looking at. As far as our day-to-day rehearsal and so forth, we are following the school guidelines and policies, and in that, we encourage people to wear masks to rehearsal. We encourage students to socially distance whenever they are not in a position that they have to be closer together for staging or choreography or whatever. And also, if there is an outbreak of some kind or an exposure of some kind, we will follow the same policies. It'll be treated the same as if they were on the football field and there was an exposure, that anybody who's had contact and they weren't wearing a mask, it's more likely that you are going to be quarantined. If you have a mask on, it's a lot less likely that you're going to have to be quarantined. So the masking is a good thing. As much as we hate it with singing and so many other things that we have to do, it is something that can prevent you from having to be quarantined if the situation arises. Of course, the vaccines and that are making their way around, but it's a long process getting them out, and it is a 2-dose vaccine, so it's not really effective fully until you've had the second dose, which is about a month after the first dose. So we know that it's going to take a while for all that to happen, so we want to do everything we can to prevent that spread. And as far as the show itself is concerned, we are in contact with Concord Theatricals, which is the licensing company who licenses this show. And right now, our plan, we have a plan, and we have a backup plan. But plan A is that we're going to have live performance with live audience, but it's looking more and more as we get closer to opening up ticket sales that we're probably going to limit the amount of tickets that we can sell each night. And we are talking with Concord Theatricals about adding on the license to have 2 nights, 1 night with each cast that will be live streamed. And for those who would like to watch it from the live stream, you will have to pay for a ticket to watch the live stream, but that is something that we will offer as an opportunity for people if for some reason the tickets are sold out. But it's also a great opportunity for family who lives out of state, out of town, to be able to tune in and get to see the show as well, who might not have gotten to see it before. But that is our current plan. If there's a huge outbreak and they shut everything down, then we're kind of at the mercy of whatever the city, state, and school decides. But we are planning on moving forward with this as close to normal of a performance as possible. And our plan, of course, is for the students not to be wearing masks that are COVID-related masks on the stage. Some will be wearing masks of more decorative fashion. But anyway, so that's kind of how we're looking to work through the COVID-19 situation as it sits. But we are excited about this production. I'm going to let Mrs. Rydell talk a little bit about the rehearsal process.
Do you have attendance? About attendance? Okay. I hate reading from the paper. I'm just going to talk to you. Attendance is vital, okay? Like it says up there, every rehearsal builds on another one, okay? We're going to block scene 1, and then the next rehearsal, we're going to block scene 2, and those are going to flow together, and so I need everybody there at all times. Same thing with music, okay? They're going to learn one song, and then they're going to learn the next one, and it's all going to flow together, and it all builds together. We understand you are going to have conflicts, okay? Especially when you start looking at this rehearsal schedule with as many rehearsals as we have to make a show like this happen, you're going to have a conflict. I'm going to have a conflict. He's going to have a conflict. It's going to happen. If your child is in cotillion, I can tell you right now, it's already going to conflict. It does every single year. We're used to it. It's no big deal. We work through it. We figure it out. However, we need to know that your child is in cotillion so that we know automatically, okay, they're not going to be here or they're going to be late because they're at cotillion, okay? When you do look at the rehearsal schedule, which we'll probably talk a little bit more, the only time that, it is no ifs, ands, or buts, you have to be at rehearsal is tech rehearsals. Okay, that's whenever our light guys come in, our sound guys come in, costumes start coming in, props start coming in. Everybody has to be at those. Unless something crazy happens, somebody passes away. Otherwise, you've got to be at those. like he said earlier, if we know, for instance, I'm going to pick on Brendan just because he's sitting up here. If we know Brendan's supposed to be there and he's not there, one, his mom is going to be there, so she's going to be calling him. But he's supposed to show up, and it's, rehearsal's supposed to start at 7. It's starting to be 7:05. We're getting rehearsal started. Allie will be the one to start looking for a phone number to start calling, mainly to make sure that Brendan is okay. We want to know that Brendan is where he's supposed to be, or that he is okay. Maybe he's caught in traffic, whatever, but he is not injured, and he is okay, and he is making his way to rehearsal. And so that's what he means by Allie's going to call you. If you know your child's not going to be at a rehearsal, please email me or email him and let us know, just so that we can tell Allie, hey, Brendan's not going to be here this night, and we can already mark it on our attendance sheet, okay? We are looking at attendance. We are keeping track of whether your child is at rehearsal or not. Again, it is vital, especially when we start getting into choreography, because I start placing them, and it really builds upon itself. And so I don't think we can stress enough how important it is to be at rehearsal.
Along with that, we talked about conflicts, and on the first page, you see that Mrs. Rydell and I both have our contact information. Those are our cell numbers. And so both of us have unlimited texting. And so if you text us, just identify who you are first, because we don't just automatically know your number. But then let us know if there is an issue that has come up that we need to be aware of. But again, that helps save us a lot of time to have something in writing, as opposed to just walking up and telling us or something like that. Because usually if you see me in the hallway, if one of the kids sees me in the hallway and say, oh, I'm not going to be such and such, or I've got such and such, I'll be late, I probably am not going to remember that very easily. But if I've got it on my phone, I can go back and look and say, oh, yeah, that's right, so-and-so told me this. So any communication that you can give to us that is in writing, whether email or text, really, really helps us out. So feel free to use those, and when you have questions, contact us. If I don't text you back right away, then I'm probably doing something. I'm a music minister at church, and so if it's a time that I might be doing something like that, just be as respectful of that as I would be of yours. So, but I will get back with you, and Mrs. Rydell is very quick to respond to those as well. Okay. As far as rules of etiquette, there's a lot of things that are written in here. We're not going to go through every single thing, but you'll read through some of those and you're going to be like, really? They had to put that in writing? And the truth is, if it had to be put in writing, chances are somebody did something at some time that caused us to have to put that in writing so that everybody understands, like wear underneath your costume. You have to have something on underneath your costume. We don't need to have any of those weird things going on. So wearing deodorant, as much as we'd like to say that should go without saying, we do have some younger kids in here who maybe just aren't even used to doing that yet. Maybe they haven't.
Every year.
Yes. So
Every
there's always a time when people find out, and it's usually they find out after the fact, that they should have had deodorant on. These are costumes that are rented. Most of the costumes that we're going to be using are rented, and they're going to be wearing the same costume night after night, and they don't get cleaned between performances because that's part of our contract with the costume rental places, that they are the only ones allowed to clean them. We're not allowed to clean them. So keep that in mind. You want to make sure that you are as clean as possible before you get into that costume, because anything that is not clean is going to be amplified over the course of a couple of weeks. So we do want the kids there 5 minutes at least before rehearsal starts. Bring your script and a pencil. One of the great things this year, because of COVID, a good thing, I guess, out of COVID, every student will have a script. We don't have enough scripts for everybody yet. The rest of them have been ordered. And because of all of the people that work at these companies working off-site right now, it just takes a little longer to get those sent out, but we will get those here within the next couple of weeks. But every student will have a script issued to them. These are not property of Midland Christian School. They will have to be sent back. However, in the past, we've not been allowed to do anything other than light pencil marks in these, but with the way they're doing them now, they're not going to reuse these scripts after us. They're going to destroy them. We still have to send them back, but they will destroy them after we send them back. So we can highlight in them and mark up however we need to. So if your child needs to use a highlighter to mark their parts, that is perfectly okay with it, with this time. So feel free to do that, okay? Bring their script with them so they know their stuff, and it would be great because you have a rehearsal schedule, you know what's going to be worked on. So if you have the opportunity to listen to a song or to practice your scene before you come to that rehearsal, to practice your words and everything, that makes things go a lot faster and a lot smoother. Bring a good attitude, open mind, and full attention to rehearsals. You know, we're going to come in with a plan so that you can get after it and really get these parts learned. But we need you to take on the ownership of learning those parts, because we are not going to have enough time in rehearsal to memorize everything. A lot of that memorization is going to be happening outside of rehearsal time. So yes, we want to make the most of it. What's next, Landry? Set construction, one of my joys and banes at times. There's always some nails that need to be put in and some something that's going on the week of the performance that is still getting done. But with set construction, we're going to have a lot of Saturdays. Those aren't in that rehearsal schedule yet. We will be getting a separate schedule out to you via email. So be watching your email. That's going to be a big means of communication for us. And if you have not received email from me specifically about these meetings, if you just heard by word of mouth, then you might want to talk to me afterwards to make sure that I get you added into that email list. Set construction is totally open to anybody that wants to help. Parents, siblings, grandparents, whoever wants to be a part of that is welcome to come up and be a part. We'll have a lot of Saturday work days that we'll do, and sometimes when we have a day off of school, we will come up and work on the set during those days off as well. It's going to be fairly complex set to build this year. There's a lot of special effects that we need to do and things like that, but we will have a very strong plan in place so that we can get lots of teams working. We do allow students to use power tools under supervision, but that's usually just the high school students, especially the older high school students. But if you want to use it as an opportunity to kind of show your child how to use some power tools or whatever, we have a lot of power tools up here, and you can come up and guide your child through that. It's not something that we have to work fast and furious. It can be a great learning experience and bonding time with the kids. But it is a lot of fun to put together and then to watch your work up there on the stage. Okay? You want to go over these?
Sure. Okay, types of rehearsals. I bet you didn't know there was more than one. So first is going to be your music rehearsals. This is going to completely focus on music. Okay, they're going to be in the choir room. They're going to be led by Mr. Jung and Miss Hamilton. They're going to be singing the entire time. Okay, and then we have blocking rehearsals. This will be me. Blocking refers to your movement on the stage. Okay, it's not choreography. It's not dancing. So it's whenever they're speaking, they have dialogue, and then how they're going to enter next at the stage, okay? And then there's choreography rehearsals, those are the fun ones, where you get to dance and put your big numbers together and all that kind of stuff. So there are some different ones. I will also be over the choreography rehearsals. Then we move into tech rehearsals. Like I said earlier, that's whenever all of our tech people come together, okay? Our sound people are there, our lights are there. All of those will take place on the stage. Before that, they're either in the music room or they're in here in the SLC. And then we have full dress rehearsals where we have costumes, you use props, you use the whole 9 yards, okay? That is putting the entire show together at those full dress rehearsals.
You can take that one too.
Cell phones. When your child comes to rehearsal, your student comes to rehearsal, and it is 7 o'clock, Allie has a bucket every year, and she takes up every phone, except for mine, Mr. Jung's, Miss Hamilton's. Deborah Lancaster is also at rehearsals with me. Otherwise, no student has a cell phone, okay? They're distracting. Okay, well, like, for the exception, sorry. Anyway, but no student has a cell phone. If you need to get a hold of your student, you've got to go through one of us. Like you said, I have my phone on me at all times during rehearsal. If not, Allie's watching it for me. Send me a text message. Don't call me. There's terrible reception in here. Send me a text message. and then we will get to you as soon as we can, okay? If you there's a major emergency and you need your child, just come get them. You can interrupt rehearsal. We have an open, I don't know that we've ever actually said that. We have full open rehearsals at all times, so you are more than welcome to come and just pop in and say, hey, we've got to go. That's totally fine. Take them, no big deal, okay?
Most people don't take us up on that because it's usually their time to go to the grocery store while they don't have their kids.
Right.
But you're welcome.
But do know that once they are here with us from 7 to 9, they're not going to have their phones. If something happens, and a lot of times it happens in blocking rehearsals, I get done early. A lot of your leads I actually see during the day. I have a high school productions class, and so I actually have all of them in class during the day. And so a lot of that blocking I'm planning on running through during the day. And so if we get done early, we'll give the phones back, and they'll call you to come and get them. But otherwise, they're not going to have their phones during rehearsal. So I highly encourage you to save our numbers in your phone tonight, just so that you have them in case something does happen.
Next. So scheduling of rehearsals. Toward the back of your packet, you have a page that kind of looks like this that says Munchkins and Winkies and Flying Monkeys. And I didn't even know what Winkies were until we looked at this script.
Still don't know.
But basically, those are the guards that say, oh, wee, oh, yo. I would have thought they would have come up with something a little bit more scary for them, but Winkies just seems, anyway, but that's what they are. So when you're looking at these lists, it shows the student's name on the left side and the part that they're playing within that group on the right side. The main thing to know here, there's two reasons for this. Number one, because if they have a specific name that's not just Munchkin, then that means they have either a singing line or a spoken line that they're going to be doing in the Munchkin scene that is just theirs. So keep that in mind, but it also means that they're Munchkins. So if the rehearsal schedule says that Munchkins are supposed to be there, anybody that's in that Munchkin column needs to be there. If it says Winkies are needed there, everybody in that Winky column needs to be there. If it says Flying Monkeys, all the Flying Monkeys need to be there. So that's the way you can determine and know that every kid plays more than one part. Every single one. There's not a single person in this cast who only plays one part. So make sure that you know all the different roles that your child plays. Also know on the front of the scripts, for those of you who have gotten them, and if you haven't gotten one, if you just ask somebody near you to look at theirs, the student's name is printed on the front of that script, but it also says every role that they play. And so keep that in mind, that it does show every part that they play in there. But you need to make sure that when you're looking at the rehearsal schedule, which, Landry, if you'll go to the next page, the rehearsal schedule looks kind of like this. And I picked the most complex day of the rehearsal schedule for us to look at to get together up here. But what you see up there, you've got the day in black. And everything that's between that black line and the next big black line is what's happening on that day. Some of those days, there's only one event happening, but this particular one, there's like 4 different rehearsals happening that evening because we wanted to be very mindful of everybody's time and not have kids sitting here for 45 minutes at a time with nothing to do. So what you see up there, you see that it says in italics, Landry, if you'll click the, click the button, you'll see that that orange box right there is showing you one section of those 4 sections of rehearsal. So you see at the top of the box that says music rehearsal, then click the next one, it'll show you the second section of that rehearsal. And then again, this is the 3rd section. And then one more time, that's the 4th section. So there's 4 different sections to that rehearsal, but it's not in chronological order. You'll have to look at the rehearsal times to know which things are happening when. So first of all, I've got music rehearsal up there, so go ahead and click the next thing, Landry. And in yellow, you're going to see what type of rehearsal we have going on that day. So you have music rehearsal that's going on up there at the top. Blocking rehearsal is going to be happening at the same time as music rehearsal, but it's going to be different groups of kids for the most part. Some kids are going to have to bilocate, and we haven't figured that out scientifically yet, but we're working on it. But what you'll see next, if you'll click next, Landry, you've got there in green, it shows the location of each of those sections of the rehearsal. So the music rehearsals are both going to be in the choir room. The blocking rehearsals are both here in the SLC. Go ahead and click the next one, Landry. Now you've got your time listed in blue. So the time for that first rehearsal in the choir room is from 7 to 7:45. The second one is from 7:45 to 8:30. Then down below, you see that in the blocking rehearsal, you've got 7 to 8 and then 8 to 9. So that's divided up into two different groups there as well. Then the next thing that we look at there, I believe it's going to be in pink, is who or which characters need to be there for that rehearsal. So this way, you know exactly when your kid needs to be at rehearsal and how long they need to be at rehearsal. And we are very, very strict to this. If we haven't finished what we need to finish for that night, we still break rehearsal at the time that we say we're going to break it. So keep that in mind, that when we say that rehearsal is over at 8 o'clock, it will be over at 8 o'clock, because we want to be respectful of your time. We'll find another time that we can work it, rework the schedule if we need to, and we'll send out those updates to you. Finally, the last thing that's on there, Landry, click the next, is in purple. That's just a listing of what we're working on. You'll notice that all of the music things are written as a number, because the songs are numbered from the beginning of the show to the end of the show. So the higher numbers, you know, are going to be closer to the end of the show. The lower numbers are going to be closer to the beginning. But all of the blocking and choreography rehearsals are going to be listed as Act 1, Scene 2, or Act 1, Scene 12, or whatever. So they're listed in there by act and scene. When you look at your script, the front part of the script is just words. It's just all the dialogue and lyrics to the songs. But if you flip toward the back of the script, you'll see that the last 25% of the script is music pages, and that's the music score for the students to learn. That's what we'll be looking at music rehearsals. So just keep that in mind. That's what the different things are that are going on there. That way the students can know what we're going to be working on, and they can be listening to the song a little bit ahead of time. They don't have to memorize it ahead of time. But if they come into the music rehearsal having listened to it a little bit, it makes it a little bit easier for them to know what part they're going to be singing. Okay? Any questions about how the rehearsal schedule looks and what it means? When you look at the rehearsal schedule, you'll see as we get, Mrs. Rydell mentioned, when you get toward Tech Week. So April 15th, if you go close to the back of that rehearsal schedule, you'll start to see that there, around April 15th, we have tech rehearsals and dress rehearsals and that are listed there. And those are all cast and crew, because we're going to be working as much as we can with our sets, with all the special effects and technology stuff that we're going to be working together in this show. We're going to have a lot of time practicing those things together to get it to work seamlessly. So keep that in mind. The very last thing I want to mention as far as the schedule is on the very last day of the schedule, there's one word that's different than the other performances, and that is performance and strike. And the strike is super important. That is when we actually tear down the entire set. Everything that we've built for months goes down in a matter of 2 hours. And we get the stage completely cleaned off. When we had that thing finished after Beauty and the Beast, you couldn't have tell that there was a beast anywhere near there, or anything else for that matter. It was super, super clean, super pristine, and that's just when everybody comes together. We all get it done, and we get to go home feeling great about what we've just accomplished, and knowing that it's all cleaned up, it's all put away, it's all gone, and we don't have to work anymore. And then we go into our show hole. Okay? Any other questions about the rehearsal stuff? All right, Ms. Rydell, care and feeding.
Okay, I was standing here reading this as he was talking, and it kind of sounds kind of mean, but like, please feed your child, okay? If something is going on, and it happens a lot, especially with the high schoolers, they've got 10,000 things going on, and if they have to bring food to rehearsal, they have to bring food to rehearsal. Like, we don't want them to go without food. One, because we're not gonna get done until 9 o'clock, and I can guarantee you he and I will have eaten before we get here. So please, please, please make sure that your child has food. If they need to come in eating something, that is totally fine.
But we would prefer to dismiss them back to that room
Yes.
to eat it, so that we don't have all the 5th and 6th graders and junior high kids in here smelling French fries going, then they're not focused on rehearsal anymore.
Obviously, it can't be like an every rehearsal kind of thing, but again, we understand. They've got cotillion going on, they've got this, they've got that. Some are coming from 3-2-3 volleyball, some are coming from work. So we understand. If you've got to come in and scarf down a sandwich or whatever, that's totally fine. But do know, like he said, we'll have them eat somewhere just away from that. But anyway, okay, so meals during Tech Week. This is, if you look at your rehearsal schedule, it actually says, well, I had it in my mind and now I don't. it left it. It says school dismissal. Like if you'll look at April 15th, it says school dismissal as like your start time. So what happens at Tech Week is as soon as they are done at school, that means 5th and 6th grade when they're done at 3:30, high school when you're done at, or junior high and high school when you're done at 3:55, you automatically go straight to the gym on those days where it says school dismissal. That is so that they can start doing homework. We have adult supervision there with them. They get out homework, they start doing that, but then he and I come over at 4 and we start getting them into costume because those are Tech Week nights and then they're also gonna be performance days. So we start getting into costume, we start getting makeup done. The makeup for the show is gonna kind of be extreme. And so we start all of that the minute school is over at 4, or for us at 4 o'clock. But elementary goes ahead and goes on over. So then on those nights, we also provide a meal. So if they're gonna stay from school, we provide the meal. We're gonna talk more about paying for that here in just a minute. But if you have a catering business, if you like to cook for large amounts of people, please get with us. Every year that we have done a musical, Sweet Paige Besner has led this up. And we have said, hey, Paige, these are the nights that we're eating, figure it out. And she did. And this year, unfortunately, we don't have Paige. And so we don't really have anybody to lead this up. If you just have a gift and talent in feeding people, please let me know. But every night, Destiny King, I don't know if you know her, she's actually one of our Dorothy's. Her parents cook one night. We have Texas Roadhouse brought in sometimes. It all varies. So again, if you love to cook for large groups of people, please let me know. Or if you know somebody that does, please let me know to help feed these kids. But on those nights that they come from school, they will be fed. If your child is super picky and isn't gonna eat a hamburger, because that's what we have that night, please let us know. It's happened in the past, and the mom just brought up food, and that's totally fine. I have a picky child. She really doesn't eat. So I get it. I get having the pickiness. Otherwise, we will feed them. We will have tons of water, snacks, all that kind of stuff on those days. Those are long days, okay? They are here. We are here from 7:30 in the morning to 9 o'clock at night. Those are long days. So we will have time for them to do homework, especially the younger guys who don't have the elaborate makeup and stuff like the leads do. They are gonna have time to do their homework. We put them up in the stands. They can't sit next to each other for a block of time, and they work on their homework and they get stuff done. So that time is there.
Props, costumes, characters, and weaponry.
That is also me. I don't know. Landry, what's the next slide say? Okay, never mind.
Go back to the other one.
Go back.
So when it comes to props, guys, especially with this, there's going to be a lot of props. You've got Winkies who are going to have the big spear thing that they're carrying, and flying monkeys are going to have wings that they're going to have to put on, and various things like that. And all of these things are rented, and they're expensive to replace. And so it's very important that you do not touch a prop that does not belong to you. There's no reason for you to touch it. And when it comes to weaponry, the only time you should be touching it is when you are either being instructed on it or when you are performing with it. Once you are finished with it, it should not be a toy. It should go back to its storage place backstage. Every single prop has a place backstage where it will be kept, and that is where it should go every single time you are finished using it. That's where you should get it every time that you are going to need it. It is important that you put your props where they go. If it's your prop, you are responsible for putting it away. You are responsible for getting it when it's your time to go on stage, and you are responsible for checking before the show to make sure that that prop is there. There are two of us. There are Miss Hamilton and Mrs. Lancaster, but there is not any way that we, with everything else that's going on, can check and know everybody's prop and where it needs to be and when it needs to be there. It is very important that you work with the stage managers to make sure that you have a place for your prop. If you need a place for your prop, you talk to the stage manager, and she will assign a place for you to put that is going to make sense for you so that you can get it easily, access it easily, and so that you can put it away easily, okay? So it's very important. Props need to be respected. If we see you playing with somebody else's prop, we're going to be having some conversations and understand, if we need to go with disciplinary action, we can do that through the musical. We don't want to, but we can and we will if we find somebody that's going to be disrespectful. And if it continues, then we may dismiss somebody from the show. We don't want to do that, but we can and we will. When it comes to costumes, same thing. If it's not your costume piece, don't touch it. There are only a few costumes that will be shared, but each of you that are, the only shared costumes are going to be what the main characters are sharing because they are double cast, but everybody else is going to be performing every night of the show, and therefore they are going to be the only person wearing that costume, so they are responsible for making sure that that costume is hung up every night, that it is not just thrown on the floor, trampled on, kicked around, or anything like that. It's very important that you take care of those costumes and that you are the only person touching your costume.
I will say, along with the costumes, and we'll talk about this more. We'll have like a costume parade where everybody can come and see costumes, and we'll tell you if your student needs to purchase something, if they need hose or shoes or whatever for that. And we'll go into a little bit more detail then, but one of our seniors, Riley Hamilton, it will actually be our costume manager for the show. So your student will be responsible for checking in every piece of their costume or costumes to her every night after those costume rehearsals. So if we say rehearsal is going to be over at 9 and it's about 9:10 or so, don't worry. We're having to, like you said, every person in the show is more than one character, so they've got more than one costume. So they've got to get those costumes picked up and hung up and checked in with Riley before we'll let them go. And again, it's all because they're rented. We pay a lot of money to rent these things. They come from New York, and so we want to give them back in better shape than what we got them. Also, along the lines of costumes, if you just happen to be a makeup artist and you can do some character makeup, or you have a cosmetology degree and you can do hair, please get with me. He thinks that we can do this makeup in a crazy amount of time. Granted, he never does his hair or his makeup, so we're gonna see what happened. But if we could have some professional makeup people that kind of know what they're doing backstage with us, that would be fantastic. Or if you know somebody that can do that, please get them to me. Because we've never done anything intricate like this before. The witch has to go from being a normal human to being green in about 8 minutes. So, and again, he thinks we can do it in that amount of time. So, by we, he means me. But
I get to sit out front during that time. So health and habits, of course, this is a very big thing this go around just because of all the COVID things and everything. So it is very important. If you are feeling in the slightest bit sick, please just let us know and respectfully let us know that you won't be at rehearsal that night. We would much rather you miss one rehearsal or two and find out that it wasn't COVID than to come to the rehearsal and now half our cast has COVID and we have 2 weeks of absolutely nothing getting done because everybody's got COVID. So we don't want to spread that love around, and we want to keep everybody as healthy and safe as possible. So practice good habits. Sleep is a big thing. Your body will be much healthier if you get rest. So if your kids are in the habit of staying up late on electronics and stuff like that, this might be a good time to ratchet that down a little bit and force them to go to sleep and get plenty of rest. They will be plenty tired once they stop that stimulation to their brain. They will fall asleep very easily after these rehearsals because they are very intense and very tiring. But it's important that they get that rest and they eat well and that they are having plenty of time to get things done so they don't have a lot of stress on their plate. They're going to have plenty of stress, but we don't want it to be an unhealthy level of stress for them. Okay. And some other information. We do have what we refer to in there as a show fee, and that basically pays for the students' meals for those 6 days that we provide meals for them, and it also pays for the student for their T-shirt for the show. Now, if other family members would like to buy T-shirts to be able to help advertise the show and such, those can be purchased through that form. That form, when you look at it, it can be kind of confusing. It makes sense to me because I made it, but that's not always the way it makes sense to other people. But as you look at it, at the top, it asks for the cast and crew member, because that's really how we're going to distribute things and everything. So if you want to place orders for shirts, put the cast or crew member's name up there. So that's the student's name. And then put their shirt size up there. Do not include their shirt size with the bottom part of the order. The bottom part of the order is just extra shirts that you would like to purchase. Okay? So if you're just getting your student shirt, just put their name and their shirt size at the top there, and that's all you got to do. But if you are getting extra shirts, those are the shirts that go in on the bottom.
And no, we are not going to have Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat shirts made. They will be Wizard of Oz shirts.
Yes, I had
just
one typo in there that I
looked over
forgot to
that.
change, yes. She sent me that this afternoon right after I'd printed all these out, and I thought, well, I'm not going back and reprinting these. So anyway, so T-shirts are something that we have there, and we'd like to get those in. I think I put by like the end of the first week of February. February 8th. So that way we can get those ordered and have the shirts around for a long time before the show so that we can be advertising our show. Videos, we had some difficulty in the past with this, but we have an exceptional media team right now led up by Mr. Langford. And again, being able to use our school folks and students as much as possible in ways that we can benefit them. That means all the money that you spend on any DVD recordings is going to go and basically provide more equipment for our students to be able to do even better and cooler things and help that program. But they are going to be the ones who are going to video this year, and that's part of their end of the year project. They're going to have those DVDs done before the end of the school year because it's part of their media team grade. So we know that that's going to take place and that's going to happen, and so we're excited to have them to be a part of this and so forth. And then pictures, we are blessed to have Chris Little and Kevin Wallum, both who come to our productions and take pictures, and they get amazing pictures, and they don't charge anything for them. So we provide a link to those pictures after the show is done, once they get them uploaded on the site, and then you're welcome to go and download any of those pictures and have them for your own personal records and memorabilia and so forth. So we're very grateful to those. But those are some things that will be available to you as memories from the show and so forth. The T-shirts, it may or may not be that exact design that's on the front. We're still working with the company to get logo licensing and so forth. On the back, we will have a cast list that has all the cast and crew that are participating in the show on it as well. If somebody decides after February 8th to be a part of the cast, or not cast, but of the crew, then their name just won't be on the shirt, but they can still get a shirt. So anyway, next, publicity. This is something that is, as much as we would love to be the ones going out there and publicizing the show, we're so busy putting the show together, we don't get a chance to do much of that. So that is completely up to you. So if you want us to have a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for these kids to be seen and to show their talents to a lot of people and to get that uproarious applause, we're going to do everything we can to make it to where people want to stand up and applaud, but we can't always fill the seats. That's going to be up to you to talk up what your child is doing to friends, family. Those are the people who are really going to want to come see this show. And so even if it's through the live stream, talk up the show and really tell people what an amazing thing it is that's going on. Like Mrs. Rydell said, you're welcome to come in to stop in and see a rehearsal. And sometimes it's hard to visualize everything that you see in the rehearsal and picture that in costume with lights and everything else and sets. But to be able to see what the kids are doing and to be able to say, hey, man, this was really cool. Every once in a while, some of the kids or the staff will take a quick video of part of the rehearsal just to put it up on Facebook. If you see that, share the dickens out of that thing. You know, just get it out there to where people can see it and like it, and then that way when you send out a link to the ticket sales, they're like, oh, I remember seeing that video, I want to go and buy tickets, I want to go see these kids. So it is a great opportunity, but make sure that you are doing what you can to help promote this show. If you have connections with news media and radio and so forth, if you would like to get us a foot in the door there, that'd be great. We have been fortunate to have TV and newspaper coverage in years past, and so it would be really, really awesome to be able to continue to do that as well. Okay?
Okay, for water, I will be sending out a Google Doc to sign up to bring water, but we do ask that every parent signs up for at least one night of rehearsal to send waters. I know you can get a pretty big pack of them at Sam's. And don't hesitate to get the little ones too, okay? You guys live with your kids. You know they drink half of the water bottle and then it stays there for 10 years. So if you want to get the little ones and send the little ones, I'm totally fine with that. Or get the bigger ones, that's fine too. But be looking for that Google Doc. I'll send it out through email hopefully by the end of this week. It's kind of been a crazy world that we're living in right now. So hopefully by the end of this week, I will get that sent out. But do know that we are going to ask for you to bring 2 cases of water to at least one rehearsal. I know, like for Beauty and the Beast, several parents signed up for a couple nights, which we love that. But you can send it to rehearsal. If you get it, just send it in with your student that night to rehearsal. And then we either store it in the choir room or we store it in the sound booth back there in the SLC, so they always have water. You can also send them with water bottles, with their own personal water bottles. We have water fountains to fill them up if you need to. But we do want to make sure that they have water at all times. Oh, kid wrangling. Okay, I don't know why this is always the hardest one, but signing up, getting kid wranglers is always the hardest. So, on performance nights, he is leading the music. I'm losing my mind backstage. Miss Hamilton is helping him with music, and Miss Lancaster is helping me lose my mind. So, there is nobody backstage or in the back gym. I don't know if you've never been in the McGraw Event Center. There's 2 gyms, the front one and then the back one. The back gym is where all of the costume changing, all of the students stay whenever they are not on stage or fixing to go on stage. And we can't be back there. It's impossible. So we need you guys to sign up for a night to be back there, just 1, to help keep them quiet, 2, to help make sure that they're getting dressed, they're changing, they know what to do. And it's not a big deal. By this point in time, the kids have run this show so many times, they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. They know what costume they've got to put on. It's just making sure nothing crazy happens. Last year, or for Beauty and the Beast, our costume manager was Kennedy King, and she was telling me a story the other day. She walked back there, and her sister was supposed to be a spoon, but they couldn't find a spoon, and so Kennedy was like, I don't care, be a knife, go on. So we just need somebody back there that can say, hey, here's your knife, go. Like, just go on stage. You look fine. And to get them back up to me on the stage. I do not ever leave backstage. I don't ever walk down that ramp to that back gym during a performance. I'm either dealing with mics, or I'm getting kids on and off, or I'm changing backstage. So we really need parents to sign up. The nice thing is there's 4 nights of performances. So one of those nights, you can sacrifice to be backstage with them. If you and another couple want to say, hey, I'll watch the show until intermission, and then I'll go back there, and y'all want to switch off, that's totally fine with me. I don't care. Just get with me. I will also have a Google Doc for kid wrangling sent out, hopefully by the end of this week, for you to sign up. But it really does help give us a peace of mind that there is an adult presence in that back gym with the kids at all times, whenever our minds are completely in different places. So,
Yes.
Front of house, I'll go ahead and do this one.
Okay.
This includes box office, concessions, ushers, program, distribution, seating, all that kind of stuff. If you are interested in helping with that, just email one of us, let us know. If you want to help us on the night of, seat people and show them their seat, or if you want to help run the concession stand, if we have one this year, anything like that, run the ticket sales, any of that stuff on the nights of performances, let us know and we'll get you placed. It might also be a Google Doc that we send out. We like Google Docs. So just keep that in mind. If you plan on working front of house in any form or fashion, box office, concessions, anything, please consider buying a shirt so that on the night that you work or that you are there, you are wearing a shirt, or steal your child if you can wear it and wear theirs. But just so that it just kind of helps us look unified and helps promote the show. Even though people are coming to watch it, it helps to just look together and in unison. Student participation fee.
Yeah, we talked about that, so I think we can go on.
Oh,
beyond-
well, I do want to add to that.
Oh.
I spoke with Megan Bundy earlier. If you paid the participation fee for Beauty and the Beast, we think it was,
Joseph.
sorry, Joseph. I'm still bitter that we didn't get to do that show, but that's great. If you paid that fee, we think it was $75. We still have it. We still have it. It will roll over into this year. This year's fee is $100. So if you paid the $75, email me. Don't email him because he doesn't know. Email me, and I will jot it down that you paid, and then you will just owe $25 or however much. If you want to buy more T-shirts or whatever, that's fine. If you paid for extra T-shirts, I still have all of that information, but you're gonna have to remind me. Okay, you're gonna have to send me an email and say I paid for 4 extra shirts. Fantastic. We still have that money. Let me know, and I will get that rolled over to this year, and then we'll get it applied to whatever we need to apply it to.
And for your information, when it comes to collecting money for T-shirts and for the show fee, that all goes to Mrs. Rydell. So if somebody brings it to me and they don't see Mrs. Rydell during the day, I'll be glad to take those over to her. But it makes things a little bit more seamless if they go to Mrs. Rydell.
But if you were not in Joseph, so you haven't paid any money, or you were in Joseph and you never paid any money, you do owe the $100. And like you said earlier, that covers the student's T-shirt and then all of their meals and snacks. And if we end up having to buy water or anything like that, it helps just cover those fees.
But I do want, when we mentioned earlier about needing somebody to coordinate the meals, one of the great things is with that $100, we should be able to, if we need to bring in catering for each of those meals, we should be able to do that fairly reasonably. So for somebody who might want to take on that job, it's not that you have to cook for this entire cast and crew of 55, 65 people. It's that you just maybe make the one making phone calls to set up those things. We already know what the dates are. We already know roughly the number of kids and adult staff and that we would need to feed. So it's just very bottom line of situation of needing somebody who can coordinate all that. So if that's something that you feel like you can do, or maybe a couple of parents together decide we'll be a team and we'll work that through, then that'd be great. Okay? All right, next, Landry. We have not decided yet on the ticket sales because we're still trying to look. We'll be talking with Mr. Lee a little bit about what we feel we need to do with COVID. It may be that we actually start with a very small number of seats open, and then if we feel like we have the ability to add numbers onto that as we get closer because things are getting better with COVID, then we may do that. But either way, please know that you as cast and crew families will be given first dibs before it ever opens up to the public. So you will have the ability to get front row seats when you want front row seats for the people, for the nights that you want to see your students perform, and that way, therefore, get those things before they open up to the general public. Okay. Seating for this year, we have been in touch with the same event company in Dallas that provides these risers for us, and so we are looking to continue to use those risers. They're very beneficial. We tried seating on the floor for a couple of years and just could not get it right to where the audience could see well, and so it's a fairly sizable cost, but I think it's really worth it for us to be able to give that auditorium feel and auditorium effect. So we're excited to get to use that again this year. Program advertisements, this is a big way that helps us to pay for the printing of the programs and for a few other things on top of that. There's a form in your packet there, and if you need extra copies of that, I can print off more. I may just send you all a digital copy of that packet too, in case you just decide you want to print off a copy of that particular form. But when it comes to inside front cover or back cover or inside back cover, those are the three most prominent places in the program to have an ad. So those are the three most expensive, but there's only one of each. And so any other ad, I can put a full page ad anywhere in the program. I can put a half page ad anywhere in the program. But I need, if you have somebody who is interested or you are interested in occupying one of those ad spaces, please let me know as soon as possible so that I can kind of put your foot in the door for that and hold that place for you. And so forth. So keep that in mind, but that is a way that we can bring in some money to help pay for the show. It's also full color. No matter what page of the program it is, it's a full color ad, whether it's an eighth of or a quarter of a page or half a page or a full page. So a great opportunity for people to get some exposure. And to also have a little tax write-off for advertising and donation. Okay? Questions? Anything that we've missed?
Of course, it's Deborah.
Basically, what we've done in the past still holds true. There's a fee basically that we have to pay for each script that is not returned. I believe that is $25. So if a script is not returned, if they want to keep it as a memento, the main thing that I need to express with you is that, especially on these scripts, they say Midland Christian School at the top. They had them specifically printed to come to Midland Christian School. If somehow that script is released, like to where somebody finds a copy of it and then makes photocopies of it and does a production of The Wizard of Oz without getting proper licensing, that could fall back on us. But it's definitely something that we want to be cautious about. But there's a $25 fee, I believe, for any scripts that are not returned. Other questions? I cannot tell you how excited we are to get going. First rehearsal is next Tuesday night, and that will be a music rehearsal in the choir room. I believe it's going to be all of the girls in the cast, basically. So pray for me that night and the next night, because it's going to be a whole bunch of girls and me. But it'll be a lot of fun, and we're going to start working on I believe Mrs. Rydell may be coming in during those rehearsals to start measuring students for costumes and such. It's going to be a whirlwind. Once this thing gets started, it's a juggernaut. It just kind of plows right on through. So continue to pray for us and pray for the kids and keep an eye on them. They will get tired. There's going to be a point during this process where they're going to just start to run low on energy because they're not seeing the payoff yet. And that's when you just got to encourage them through and help them to know that this work will pay off. I can tell you, and I know that a lot of the people back there that have been in our shows before will attest that there is no feeling like opening night, and that joy of getting to perform and have the audience just go crazy about what you're doing and just loving it. It's a wonderful feeling. It's so cool to watch their reactions. So keep that in mind and encourage them, push them through. If you would help us by picking up chairs, we've got a cart over here, and I think there's a cart somewhere back over here.
It's back there.
Back over there so that we can put the chairs on the carts. These bench things, you just fold up the red part and they just roll right on back. Thank you guys so much for what you're going to do to help us out and for this great show that we're going to put on.